And a good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, the Flames crawl home from the Rock. The NHL playoff race is really beginning to heat up, and Rocky Thompson and the St. John Flames say bye-bye. All those topics and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. Good evening and welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy sitting alongside for the next 30 minutes. Bobby Allen, thank you for coming in this week.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
We appreciate it. 2 weeks in a row, man. That could be a record for you.
Yeah.
It's nice to be back. I was on 2 weeks vacation. I thank Barry Johnston and Bruce McDonald and yourself for filling in while I was on vacation. Had a nice, relaxing time in Toronto. I got to tell you, the weather was much different up there than it was down here.
Yeah.
One day we hit 24 degrees on Wednesday. You bet. Golf courses will be open soon. We certainly hope so anyway. After that dumping of snow we got on St. Patty's Day, it's going to take a little while longer, but we certainly hope you're not discouraged, and we hope you had a good start to your week. Thank you for tuning in. We'll jump right to it, Bob. St. John Flames, just an ungodly weekend over on the Rock. The weather was terrible. Dave Roche had his hotel room broken into, had some money and personal items stolen, and as well, the Flames only grab 1 out of a possible 4 points as they get ready to head, well, they're into the stretch drive now as the playoffs are looming around the corner. 70 points. They still lead the Atlantic Division by 1 point over the Lowell Lock Monsters, who lost on Sunday evening to the Worcester Ice Cats. But you got to be concerned if you're a St. John Flames fan. Jean-Sébastien Giguère is back. That's what they were looking for. One of the key elements they were looking for as the playoffs loomed around the corner. They needed that #1 goaltender with the experience. They've got him, but he hasn't looked that sharp since he's been back.
No, it's unfortunate. They went to the Rock and picked up 1 out of 4 points. I haven't seen the paper this morning, or did he play both games on the weekend? It's unfortunate. I didn't get to hear the games on the weekend.
Kept him in on Saturday night, and you know, just some really weak goals he let in, and some really quick goals. They weren't too far apart there. The Maple Leafs got on a barrage there in the second period where they really snapped home some quick goals, but Giguère just hasn't looked sharp since coming back from Calgary, and like I said, that was one of the key elements that they were hoping for, but you know, so far he's just been kind of, he's there, and you know, he's filling in, and Mathieu's been playing fairly well when he's getting the chance, but you know, hopefully they'll be ready to turn the corner, because I mean, they got a big game against Quebec, who trailed the Flames by 5 points in the Atlantic Division Friday night, and you know, you always want to get that first place. I mean, let's face it, the Atlantic Division is a weak division when you look over the NHL, or the AHL I should say, and you know, you want to get that first place, get home ice advantage, and you know, hopefully the Flames can make some noise and really try to turn a corner here as the playoffs get ready to get set. Yeah,
they're coming home Friday night to Quebec, which is certainly a big game. After a 3-week stint on the road, or 20 days on the road, they've got to come home. Vibe's got to have them thinking, which is a really big game Friday night.
Sure.
And then they go into Saturday night against Albany, which is the worst team in the league, without a doubt.
Yeah, you got to bank these points up.
Yeah.
And that's what they were hoping for over on the Rock over the weekend. I'm sure that they were saying, you know, all right, it's not an automatic 5 points, because when the Flames and the Maple Leafs get together, it's always a good matchup, but you've got to, on the top of their mind, they had to be thinking, we're going to get 4 points here, we'll go home, we'll build up a nice comfortable lead atop the Atlantic Division, but now, like I say, it looks like it's going to be a dogfight right to the end. Flames have 70 points, Lock Monsters have 69, and the Citadels trail by 5, so they've got 65, so this is a big game coming up Friday night.
It's almost like you go back to Saturday night, which I'm not a Leaf fan, I know you're not. Atlanta's in Toronto.
Yeah.
Automatic, should be 2 points.
Well, what was the pro line? Paying well over $5 for Atlanta to beat
$5
Toronto?
or $6. Atlanta's going in with 12 wins. I watched the pregame and all this, and they're saying Toronto's laughing during the warm-up and laughing at the pregame skate. I didn't see Pat Quinn laughing after the game. Just a horrible effort.
And we should make note that former St. John Flame Nathaniel McKellar, big game against the Leafs on Saturday night. He had that just unbelievable goal. I mean, he's coming across center ice, and he just lets one rip, and I'm sure that he's thinking, now I'll just try to put it on net, see if we can get a rebound. You know, scoots by Joseph, he's got himself a goal. He's been playing extremely well since Atlanta picked him up, so it looks like Don McKellar's found a home in Atlanta. We'll stay with the NHL and the parent club in Calgary, who have really kind of sewn their own fate, so to speak. They're not out of the race. They're 5 points back. Big win last night against Edmonton. They were trailing 2-0, came back to win that game 3-2. But you've got to be thinking, the first thing on my mind the last couple of games I've seen Calgary, and I've been thinking to myself, Freddie Brathwaite is the gentleman that made this team a contender this year. Now, we won't take away what Valerie Bureau's done and the rest of the team. It's a team effort. There's no question about it. But fact is a fact. Brathwaite is the reason why that they are doing as well as they're doing this year. Look at those games over the weekend, and you see Grant Fuhr between the pipes. I don't understand what the problem is. You're in a playoff race. You're in the hunt to get that 8th and final spot in the Western Conference. And, you know, you're starting Grant Fuhr, who we all know has had an injury-plagued season, should retire at the end of this season, but it comes down to a money thing. They're paying him so much that they've got to play him. They've got to justify his means.
Yeah, they lost a tough one on, I think it was Saturday night, 5-3 to Buffalo. As you said, Brathwaite should have been there. He's carried the team all year.
Yeah.
They've only got 9 or 10 games left. If they're going to be in contention for that playoff spot, they have to go with Brathwaite the rest of these games. Jagir's not in it. He showed it when he was down here.
Sure.
He's still nagging. He's still hurt of it. You have to go with Brathwaite the rest of the season.
I just can't figure out. I mean, you know, I'm not taking anything away from Grant Fuhr. We've said it 100 times. Hall of Famer. He's definitely headed to the Hall of Fame in Toronto. But you got to be thinking, I've got to go with my young horse here. Yeah. He's gotten us so far where we are, and you know, for whatever reason, Brathwaite's not playing. Now, the rumor is that he and Sutter don't get along and they don't see eye to eye, and Sutter didn't want to get this kid built up too high and get him up on the cloud. You'd never be able to pull him back down. But I got to argue with that logic. I mean, if a goaltender is playing for you, you're coaching a team, and this kid's standing on his head night after night after night, and, you know, from what all the experts said, is that Calgary wouldn't have a shot at a playoff. Now they do. And now all of a sudden Sutter's laying this kid on the bench. I don't understand the logic behind that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense either. You have to go with Brathwaite. Whether there's problems up there or not, like we said, he's carried the team all year.
Sure.
He's played well. You got to go with him or else your season's pretty well done.
I certainly would think so anyway. So the race is going to be interesting in the Western, and the Eastern Conference just builds up even closer. It's unreal the way things are shaping up there. Pittsburgh, with their win last night, moved into 7th spot. Montreal still holding on to that 8th and final playoff spot by 1 point. They got a big game against the Sabres tonight. Sabres are 2 points back out of that 8th and final playoff spot. But you look at Montreal, they've lost over 500 man games to injury so far this year. And I mean, that almost doubles the previous record. Trevor Linden cracked a couple of ribs. He had surgery last week. Now, he's saying that if they do make it to the playoffs, he'll be back for the first round, but somehow I doubt that. Saku Koivu, same deal. If they make it to the first round, he'll be back. Benoit Brunet, he's out for at least a week with back spasms. And like you said, Shane Corson
with the eye injury.
Real scary incident over the weekend where he gets almost a, you hate to use the term, but it's a Brian Berard injury because Berard's eye injury was brought to the forefront over the past couple of weeks. He had the patch over his eye when they did an interview with him. It was still bleeding at that point. So he's day-to-day right now. The injury bug has just slapped Montreal right on the back, but they seem to still be hanging in there fighting for it. If they do make it into the playoffs, the word is that this team could maybe upset someone in the first round. Do you think that's possible, or is the injury bug just too hard on this team?
Like you said, 500 man games, you know, that's the injuries they've had all year long has been unbelievable. They're showing a gutsy effort. Even the goaltending right now, you know, big win Saturday night, 3-2 against Carolina. Ooh. If they get by the first round, I can see an upset.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, you look back, a lot of people say look back to '93 when they had just a band full of rookies and a couple of veterans thrown into the mix. So it's going to be interesting to see down the stretch. Now, you look, the team that worries me more than anybody in the Eastern Conference is Washington. Now, they're a team that's just gone along, and after the All-Star break really pulled things together. Chris Simon, supposedly just a tough guy. He's just having an outstanding year. Wilson's doing a great job behind the bench there in Washington. This is a team, for me, and everybody's picking the Devils in the Eastern Conference, and with good reason. They're outstanding. But I'm just, for whatever reason, mindset that Washington could be the team to make it back to the Stanley Cup final.
Big thing with them, too, goaltending.
Big time. Kolzig is playing extremely well.
Just been standing on his head. You need a good goaltender. He's been hot, like you said, since Christmas time.
Sure.
He's hot every game. This team, this team can go a long ways right now. If you get your goaltending, if you get your defense, they're going to upset somebody. Yeah.
It's too early to say, but it's going to be interesting as we watch things develop. And, of course, Hab fans, don't lose hope.
No.
We're still in the race, baby.
That's right.
8th place, and with a win tonight in Buffalo, we can really do some damage. Move over to high school hockey, and we'll go to some tape. St. John High School took on St. Malachy's last Wednesday night at the LBR as the city and district playoffs continued. We'll go to the tape. I know you were over there with the cameras with Don Ferguson, so we'll show you what we've got, the highlights from that game, and then Bob, you can come back and give us a rundown how the playoffs are rolling along. So Donnie, let's go to the tape and take a look at St. John High School and St. Malachy's last Wednesday night at the LBR.
Uptown rivals St. Malachy Saints take on St. John High School Greyhounds in City and District round-robin tournament. The Greyhounds take a 3-0 lead with 17 seconds left in the first period as Jamie King scores his second goal, unassisted from the faceoff. Second period action, Matthew McNiven rings this one off the crossbar. The Saints break the shutout on this low blast from Dan Smith. Matthew Joyce takes the bad end of this check, but is able to get up and continue. Saints pulled it within one goal as Josh Ferguson sets up Jason Rector. Jamie King sets up the wide open Clark Caldwell, but he rings it off the left post. This move by Tristan Camus puts him in the open, and he finishes it off. 4-2 for the Greyhounds. This hit on Clark Caldwell brings the Saints supporters to their feet. The icing on the cake for Jamie King as he gets the hat trick on this empty net goal. Hounds beat the Saints 5-3. They meet head-to-head again tomorrow night at the LBR.
I'm joined with Jamie King from the St. John High School Greyhounds. Jamie, City and District game tonight against your uptown rivalry, St. Malachy Saints, 5-3 win. You come out with a big night with a 3-goal win, or 3 goals tonight, Jamie. Tell us your thoughts about the game and the City and District.
We had some boys that really stepped up to play, like Tristan got a goal, and it was a nice goal, and it's really, we've showed a lot of discipline, so we knew that it's always chippy when we play them because it's a rivalry game, and we just stayed disciplined and played hard and got our players that we didn't expect to step up, really did step up and played well.
Jamie, tell us a little bit about your goaltender, Mark Sims. He's played well all year, your only goaltender, 30-40 shots. Give us your thoughts about him, the way he played tonight, and he also got hurt in the third period.
Oh, he's pretty much the heart of the team because he's our only goalie, as you said, and he's played every game this year, except for maybe couple half of games at the first of the year. He works his ass off every practice, and he really lifts everybody up just by the way he plays.
That's your second win. Your first one against Harborview High School, which was a big win. This was a big win again tonight. What do you think your chances are going all the way? Because now what they're going to do, the winner of this will play Hampton or KV in a best of 3. What's your chances?
I think we have a good chance. We've really pulled together over the last week or two, and as long as we keep playing the way we are and showing that we have a lot of people that can really work hard, and we'll win our hockey games and stick with our systems and listen to what Coach Cosma has to say.
Jamie, good job. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
That's Jamie King scoring the hat-trick last Wednesday night as St. John High School beat St. Malachy's 5-3 as the City and District playoffs continue down the stretch. And I know, Bob, you've had an unbelievable busy schedule. You might as well just put a sleeping bag at the LBR and stay there for a couple of nights. But give us a rundown how things break down this week and where we're heading into and what games we can look forward to.
Well, I'll run down the quick standings first of all. These are up to date right now. St. John High goes into tonight. They play Harborview High School tonight.
Okay.
As we're speaking right now, they have a record of 2-1, and then right behind them, which that'll be a battle out there tonight, is Harborview. They're also 2-1, and then we have St. Malachy's with picking up their first win on Sunday night over Simon 6-1 at 1-2, and then Simon's also at 1-2. Game tonight, like I said, St. John High and Harborview at 7 o'clock in Harborview, and then on Tuesday night, the Uptown rivalries again, St. Max and St. John High at 8:30. Over at the LBR. Wednesday night doubleheader, Harborview at St. Max at 6:30 and Simon's at St. John High, 8:45, both at the LBR.
Always great when these guys get together, and like I said, your schedule has been unbelievable the past couple of weeks, and it always gets hectic when the playoffs roll around. It's always hard to pick a winner, Bob, I know, because there's so many teams still battling out for it, and everybody's still got a crack at it, but if you had to pick a team, like you said, all year, you've been watching these teams, you know them inside out, who would you take?
Out of these 4 teams right now, it's unfortunate Mark Sims for St. John High, a young goaltender that showed in the interview, got hurt. If he comes back healthy, it's going to be either a Harborview or a St. John High. And I'd almost have to go on record as saying St. John High.
What's his status? How's his injury? Is he going to go for a while? Or?
I don't know the extent. I was at the rink last night, and I talked to a few parents, and they said this. I don't know if it's broke or what it is. It was badly swollen. So I'm going to try to find out more there sometime tonight or Tuesday when I get to the rink.
Okay, we look forward to that. Keep us posted on that if you could. Going to head to break right now, but we still got a whole lot more to talk about, so don't go too far. We'll be talking about Rocky Thompson and his sort of quick departure from the Calgary organization, and a couple of local notes we're going to make mention of as well. A couple of St. John natives had a real big weekend this past weekend. I'll get my tongue straightened out, and we'll be right back.
Follow the athletes, hear the crowd as we highlight the best of New Brunswick sports action on Primetime Sports, an action-packed leader exclusively on TVNB.
That's not offside. What?
And welcome back into the second half of Time Out here on TVNB. Nice to have you tuned in. Certainly hope you're enjoying your Monday. Jim Hennessy and Bob Allen, and a couple more local notes to make mention of. Congratulations to Ross's Mark Fawcett. Finished third at the U.S. Giant Slalom Snowboarding Championships held in Vermont over the weekend. And also congratulations to the KV Keystone Kellys capturing the Pee Wee AAA Provincial Championship. Thrilling game, Bob. 6-5 overtime win against Miramichi. You were making a couple of notes that you know, this is outstanding hockey, and I mean a 6-5 overtime win to capture the provincial championship. I mean, what a way to wrap up the season.
Yeah, I watched it last night. They taped it later from the Miramichi, and I was telling you off camera, Miramichi had St. John up, or they were up 5-2. I think it was going into it was 5-3 going into the third. You know, they scored, I think it was 2 on the power play.
Jeez.
I missed their 5th goal for some reason, and I just happened to put the television back on, and 31 seconds into overtime, they score and win it. Great hockey game.
Wow, you bet. 6-5 overtime win. Congratulations to the KV Keystone Kellys. We know you'll relish that win for the remainder of the season. Best of luck in the upcoming season as well. Right now we're going to head to St. John High School. It was hard court action as the Bantam AAA basketball championships were held in Greyhound country over the weekend. And Don Ferguson and the TVNB cameras had a chance to be there, and here's some of the action we got.
This weekend saw the host East St. John Thunder matched up against the Lancaster Magics for the Provincial Bantam AAA Championship Final. Both these teams went undefeated during the tournament play, and there were lots of enthusiastic fans on hand to watch this final match. East St. John took an early lead by as much as 9 points early in the first half. Coaches Wayne Vaughn and Mark Palmer were watching an excellent show put on by their squads. Lancaster fought back to narrow the lead down to 2 points at the half. Second half momentum shifted in the favor of the Lancaster Magics, and they go on to win this championship 46-37. Dan Noel got the coach's reaction after the final buzzer.
Seemed to be pretty close up to the end of the first half. You were just down by 2 points. Second half seemed to tell the story.
This St. John Thunder team is a real good team, and they're very well coached. Bill Justison and Wayne Crawford is their head coach. I mean, they've done an excellent job with those boys. So they gave us all we could handle, and I got to tell you, I think my heart missed a few beats in there, but I'm very proud of my guys. We had a good team philosophy, and our theme for the weekend was that we were going to do whatever we did all together. So the guys are showing some good leadership there, and I'm very proud of them, and we'll find a nice fitting place to put that banner. I'll assure you that.
Your team seemed to be very strong under the net in the opponent's end.
Yes, we got good ball handlers at the top, But when it comes to scoring, we got some post guys that know how to get to the glass and go to the foul line for us. That's been our strength all year. Patrick Halford, for a young player, you know, this being a 12, 13 age division, he's a 12-year-old player. I mean, he really knows how to work that well. Mark Hall and Peter Hickey are big players for us down underneath, but we still need the leadership at the top. Joe Zed, Peter Robichaud, Nathan Doherty, Joseph Glennie, those are the kind of guys look after the ball for us. Graham Scott is another young player. He's 11 years old. He's one of the guys I know I can put out there and rely on. So real good boys, good program, great tournament. East St. John did a wonderful job running this tournament.
Very good game, very close game. Up to the end of the first half, very close. It seemed to slip away a little bit in the second. What's your opinion?
It was our mistakes. We gave it to them. They didn't beat us. We turned the ball over too often. That's not our style. We get in foul trouble early. My two big rebounders there had 4 fouls before the first half. That's what hurt us big time.
Yeah, the Magic seemed to be very strong under the net in your end.
When my big guys come off the floor, they own the boards. There wasn't too much that we could do about that. I gotta tell you, most of these kids have been with me for 3 years now, and this is the best that we've done, the furthest we've gone. A great bunch of kids. They got to hold their head up. They're disappointed, but that's okay. That's called desire. Not disappointment in the way that we played all year, just the fact that we let the last game slip.
Good learning experience?
Oh, for sure. It was great. We put this tournament on the East St. John Minor Basketball Association. The two East St. John Thunder teams that hosted us with all the support of the parents and the community. We had lots of sponsors, lots of help. It's a real whiz-bang of a show here. I know everybody was pretty pleased.
How big a deal is it? How hard is it to put on a tournament like this?
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of banging on doors and asking for help, and you needed the support of the whole parents, the whole league. It's a big deal. Basketball in New Brunswick says this is what you have to do, and then we go way above and beyond that, provide a hospitality room and the nice all-star trophies, tournament MVP, the player of the game medals here. That's all stuff that East St. John Minor decided to do.
Winning, of course, is very important. Second place is better than last. What about the overall experience for these kids?
Like I said, most of these guys have been with me for 3 years now, and when I told them that we'll probably be going separate ways here next year, I had 2 or 3 of them almost in tears. These boys had a real impact on me, and I'm hopefully that I have a little bit on the other end for those guys as well. As far as learning experience there, from a coach's standpoint there, you're more than a coach. You're a mentor, you're a psychologist, you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're a friend. It's a great bunch of kids. It's been a real good go.
Donnie, thank you very much for that report. Some great basketball action up at St. John High School over the weekend, and we certainly hope if you got out to see it, you enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed the clips that we had for you there. Flip back to hockey real quick, Bob. Rocky Thompson, of course, a big fan favorite here in St. John for the past couple of seasons, but him and the Flames part ways like the Red Sea last week. Thompson is shipped off to the Florida Panthers organization, which, of course, their AHL affiliate is Louisville, so he was automatically sent there. And that's where he will spend the remainder of the season. As for a contract and whether or not he'll be back there next season, I would think that he probably would, but it's too early to say at this point. Just a very turmoilous situation between head coach Rick Vaive and Rocky Thompson. He walked out on the team, you remember, a couple of months ago. About 90 minutes before game time, he said, that's it, I've had it, not getting enough ice time, I'm going home. And he came back, and we thought that everything, the sore had been sewn up, and, those two were fine to go. They would, no problem. He's getting the ice time he wanted. Vaive was bouncing him around, forward, defenseman. Wasn't quite sure where he was playing from night to night, and I know that was frustrating for him, and it was frustrating for Vaive because he was trying to get him in there and trying to play him as much as he could. But then all of a sudden on the recent road trip, I guess, from every report that I've gotten is that there was a war of words following a game in Hamilton. The two literally blew up at each other and just said, I've had enough of you and you've had enough of me, so let's just part ways. Calgary, the day after the trading deadline, shipped him off to the Florida organization. And we wish Thompson all the best. And, it's hard to watch one of the fan favorites go away when Fredericton was just up the road. You used to have, the boys together on the ice, and Thompson would always, get the crowd up, and big crowds at Harbor Station. So he's going to be sorely missed. There's no question about that. But obviously it's a good move for him. He feels he's going to get more playing time in Louisville. And, good situation for the St. John Flames as well. And I'm sure head coach Rick Vaive is, going to miss Thompson's toughness in the lineup. There's no question about that. But it would seem that this was the best route to go for these guys to part company and move on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. like we spoke last week, Barry and I've seen 4 or 5 games since before Christmas time, and it seemed like he was getting a lot of shifts. His skating's improved, but he wasn't the Rocky Thompson we knew. His heart just wasn't in it.
Sure.
He was just out there going through the motions, and this should have been dealt with like the first time it happened. Get it over with. You know, this late in the season. I wish him the very best in Louisville. Hope he does well there.
It's going to be interesting to see, though. Check the schedule next year to see if Louisville rolls through town and see if Thompson. It's going to be a good game, and you can bet you by golly wow that'll be a sellout, no problem. Flip over to the baseball diamond. Of course, spring training is still underway. Montreal Expos look pretty sharp. Blue Jays look pretty sharp so far this season. It's always early to say. Spring training, it's really hard to get an indication. They're just kind of pitching 3 innings and getting their arms back in shape and see what they do. The interesting pickup that I saw that the Expos grabbed was Charlie O'Brien, a catcher, and of course Charlie played with the Blue Jays and spent many years in Atlanta. A veteran leader, no question about it. He had a good game on Sunday. I think he went 2 for 2, had a nice home run. Is this something, the route that the Expos needed to go? They needed to get some veteran players on that team, and they needed to stick with the young, like Guerrero and the young players, and try to get that mix going like the Blue Jays did when they won back-to-back World Series.
I think it's a good move. I like Charlie O'Brien when he played with the Leafs, Toronto with the Blue Jays. He's not that young of a ball player right now, I don't think.
Who's that?
Charlie O'Brien.
Well, he's getting up there. He's getting a little long in the tooth. There's no question about it.
But he'll bring a lot of experience with the ball club. He's a good catcher, good defensively, has a great bat on him. Like you said, he had a good day on Sunday, so yeah, I think it's a good idea, bring in some, experienced ball players, because they were an awful young club the last 2 years.
Sure.
9-6 or 10-6 spring training.
Yeah.
This is a club to look out for right now.
No question. They could grab one of those, wild card bursts. There's no question about that. Look at the Blue Jays real quickly here. The pitching, it's kind of falling together.
Shaky.
The hitting, they look like they're pretty organized there. They look like they've got the lineup that they want. They shipped off David Segui, which I don't really agree with, but they shipped him off last week. It looks like their pitching with Toronto is going to be the big question mark here heading into the season.
I don't really know when they're pitching because I'm not a big Blue Jays fan. The only time I'll watch it is if test patterns on or something. So I don't really want to talk about the Blue Jays.
We're out of time. Bob, thanks very much.
Been a pleasure, Jim.
I appreciate it. Always a pleasure. Behave yourself, would you?
Always.
Stay out of trouble at the LVR.
Always.
Have yourself a good week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you again next Monday at 7 o'clock for Time Out, right here on TVNB. Have a great week.